Let's turn our attention now to Maryland football. And as anybody who's watched this show knows, I'm a season ticket holder. I'm an alum. Go out there every Saturday. This week, actually, I was spared the expense because of the success of my son's flag football team. We won all those games, and I didn't end up going to see the debacle that was the 20-3 loss to Syracuse. So it was doubly good for that reason. But I have a tiebreaker question based on the Feinstein story that column that ran yesterday, Dan. Is it time? Does Randy Edsall deserve to be fired? And LeVar, I'll ask you that question first.
On what grounds, other than they're losing, is what I would say.
Well, there's usually a good reason to fire.
It's 11-22.
It's a good reason when you're looking at a coach with his team. Okay, if I'm basing my decision off of the losses, I also have to take into consideration the information that goes with that. What's the information? The first year, it's a first year. They're not his players, for one. He has to get an idea of what he's going to do with the personnel that he has. He has to get his personnel in place. You generally give a first-year coach a reprieve. The second season, all his quarterbacks, not one.
Yes. Second season, I totally agree with you.
All of his quarterbacks go down.
Yep. You're starting a backup linebacker at quarterback for the last half of the season.
This season, the wheels fell off when literally the wheels on his receivers, which is his most gifted position on this team, go down hurt, broken legs. They're out for the season.
In the same game.
In the same game. Yeah. And the downfall, the spiral started after that took place. When Diggs is, I mean, he's arguably one of the most gifted players in the country, let alone just on the team. I cannot make a decision in terms of what you're trying to build based off of those. He hasn't been here long enough. He hasn't created the culture long enough. He doesn't have enough of the players that we would need to see to be able to judge if we get rid of them or not in terms of success with players that he's bringing in. He has not been here long enough to base that type of decision off of the circumstances that he's been under.
So 2-10 is acceptable the first season. I get your argument about having giving a new head coach some time to get in.
I think you should make your case.
Let me make my case.
Make your case.
2-10 first season. I totally agree. Second year, you could write it off. All those injuries, that was some of the unluckiest stuff that could happen to any team. This year, it's not just the receivers either. Dexter McDougal in the secondary, they've had other injuries that have ravaged their team this year, which I think would be a case in your argument. I agree. Except for the fact that this year is weird. They had 2 bye weeks, right? Coming off the combined 2 bye weeks, they've scored 3 points in 2 games coming off bye weeks. That's coaching. That's preparation. And yeah, one of those games was against Florida State. But come on, Wake Forest, Syracuse, these games they're getting blown out by mediocre teams in the ACC. That's just, I mean, I don't care how many injuries you have or quarterback. You need to be more competitive in those games, and they're just not. So my argument is yes, it's time to let them go. Dan, break the tie.
You know, it's weird because I think that I am impatient for a lot of things, and for some reason, I don't totally understand why. I feel like it hasn't been enough time yet. I feel like if for no other reason, then it would be sort of a public declaration that we really messed this up by the 2 guys who are still going to be making decisions for this, school and this athletic program moving forwards. I think that you have to go into the Big Ten. You have to let this guy try to go through a season with some semblance of his actual roster and see what happens. I'm kind of skeptical because even this year with their hot start, they beat no one. Exactly. They beat no one. And
teams were 7-33 combined against the FBS.
Yeah, and even that
West Virginia's 4-6.
Yeah, West Virginia's not very good.
They broke their hearts.
They beat them badly, yes, but still they were nobody.
And I think Feinstein and you both make pretty strong cases. It just seems like you can't snap your fingers just quite yet.
They're 5-4, but they should be 4-5. Virginia missed a field goal that would have beaten them late. They should be 4-5. They should be 5 losses in a row. Anyway, all right, moving on. Not that we feel too passionately about this topic.
All right, but next year it could be total decision time for him.
Well, you'll find out
next year.
Absolutely, sure. Oh, that's a tiebreaker. Who goes first? Anyway, all right, that's for another show.